Okay, the Dwayne Wade statue has been officially unveiled, and the World Wide Web is having an absolute field day. People are saying it looks more like Terry Rozier, that it looks more like Antoine Walker, that it looks more like Idris Elba, that it looks more like Morpheus. I've even heard people say it looks more like Kelsey Grammer than Dwayne Wade. It also looks like poor Dwayne is walking on shards of glass. Now, I don't want to get on here and crap all over the artist and the sculptor and Dwayne Wade and the statue. I've been doing some yoga lately. I'm taking ashwagandha. I'm trying to be very zen with my life right now. And honestly, I think this statue was kind of doomed from the beginning. And I think a big reason for it was that the pose they decided was in the middle of Dwayne Wade doing his famous celebration, standing on the scoreboard saying, "This is my house," or whatever. We've all seen it. Iconic, right? The problem is, this sculpture, it tries to capture him with his facial expression in the middle of yelling and roaring and having this big moment of passion, which is very, very difficult to do. Most sculptures that we see, the face is usually more kind of on a stoic side, right? And this artist, Omri Amrani, this guy's done over like 300 statues. He also did the Jordan statue, the Kobe Bryant statue, the Dirk Nowitzki statue. Now, look at these three statues. What do you notice? The Jordan one, you're not really looking at his face. We're looking at the physicality of the statue, the famous Jumpman symbol. We look at that and we think, oh, Michael Jordan. You look at the Dirk Nowitzki one. Our attention isn't directed to Dirk's face. He's doing his famous fadeaway jump shot. You look at the Kobe one. It's more stoic, pointing in the air after he had his 81-point game. Now, the problem with this statue is that our attention is immediately drawn to Dwayne Wade's face, not so much what he's doing physically. And if you Google image bronze statue, pretty much every statue you see is going to be a pretty calm or stoic face. You're never going to see a bronze statue that's trying to exude this big emotional moment, because that's probably a very difficult thing to do from the sculptor's perspective in the medium of bronze. Probably what they should have done is, instead of going with this, they probably should have went with a different Dwayne Wade moment. Maybe the one after he throws LeBron that alley-oop and he has his arms spread open. There's also the one in his final season when he's playing the Warriors and hits that crazy three-point buzzer beater, and he runs down the court with his arms spread out and also jumps on the scorer's table. Maybe they could have used something from that. Now, the problem there is, yes, it probably would have made for a more aesthetic looking statue, but it's not as much of an iconic moment as the statue that they went with. Also, from what I heard, Dwayne Wade was very involved in this whole process. Apparently, he met with the artists, I think 4 times during the creation of this for hours at a time. So Dwayne was involved in this whole process. I'm going to try and kind of defend the sculpture a little bit here. You have to remember, in the medium of sculpture, things aren't always going to come out identical to your subject. That might not even be the artist's objective. A lot of times they have a sort of, an artistic interpretation to their work. You look at a Leroy Neiman painting. You look at some of his paintings and they don't look exactly like the athlete that it's portraying. It's not going to be like one of those like Madame Tussauds wax figure things where the final product is meant to be identical to the subject. Whereas when you get into painting, sculpture, there's a little bit more, artistic freedom for expression. But the problem here is when I do look at this sculpture, I don't look at it and think, oh, that's Dwayne Wade. Whereas I can look at, a Leroy Neiman painting and go like, oh, yeah, that's definitely Michael Jordan, or yeah, that's definitely Julius Erving, or that's definitely John Elway. I don't really look at that sculpture and go, oh, that's definitely Dwayne Wade. That's a problem. Everything from the head shape, the jaw, the eyes, I don't know. I just don't look at it and think of Dwayne Wade. But once again, I think the big challenge with this was you were trying to recreate something from a big emotional outburst and trying to take that and put it into a bronze statue, which I think is very, very challenging. It really makes you appreciate artists of the past. Like it really makes you appreciate a guy like Michelangelo. Incomprehensible talent these people had. Michelangelo made the David. He was only about 26 years old. It was a rejected piece of marble that no one even wanted. And he ended up creating that. And I've seen the David a couple times in real life, and I highly recommend going to see it someday if you can. It will absolutely take your breath away. Pictures will never do it justice. It is truly something you should see. A couple other really cool bronze statues I recommend looking at are the Riace bronzes. Really, really cool Greek statues that were discovered off the coast of Calabria in 1972. They were two Greek warriors, and they date back to somewhere between 460 and 450 BC. And I mean, you look at these things and they're beautiful 6 foot tall life-size bronze statues, and people did this over 2,000 years ago. You're talking 450 plus years before the existence of Christ, and people were doing this. And now you look at this Dwayne Wade statue and it's like, man, we really didn't come all that far, did we? And I'm really not trying to hate on the artist. I'm really not. I'm not trying to hate on this sculptor or disrespect him. I'm really not. That's incredibly difficult work to do, I'm sure. I'm pretty sure, and correct me if I'm wrong, like the Jordan one, the Kobe one, the Dirk one, I'm pretty sure those were all pretty well received and not super controversial, unlike this Dwayne Wade one, which is pretty much being universally panned. I get it. Anyway, hopefully that's it with these ceremonies. We've had enough ceremonies now. Okay, we did the Pat Riley court and got blown out. Now we did the Dwayne Wade statue and everybody's making fun of us. We had the Udonis Haslem jersey retirement last year. Then DeJounte Murray hits a buzzer beater against us. Enough. Let's focus on basketball, okay? Can we focus on beating the Pistons today, please? Can we beat the Knicks on Wednesday? Let's focus on that, okay? Let's focus on that.
When sitting down with the Miami Heat and myself, what we wanted to do is we wanted to capture a moment that represented the organization, represented myself, and represented the city. Felt like we captured that moment in an artistic form, an artistic way. If I wanted to look like me, I'll just stand outside the arena, y'all, and take photos. You don't need to look like me. It's an artistic version of a moment that happened that we're trying to cement.